I always looked at it from the standpoint that you maybe you gassed up at the gas station, drove to the saloon, maybe had too much fun, had to go to City Hall and go to jail. From jail, you went to the church and prayed for, redemption or whatever.
When they bought this place, it was a house, much smaller than this house, and dirt.
On one level, it was my dad accumulated so much crap that he needed to put it somewhere. So, okay, I got to build a shed.
What is this little thing right here? Oh!
See what I mean?
Oh, would you like another one?
I mean, look at this place. You know, everybody that drives by waves. Everybody wants to know Ray and Dottie.
My dad had a vision, and I think what you see around here is the fruition of that.
Well, at the time, they had a gal in L.A. so named Dolly Parton, and they made a big thing out of, she was making a town called Dottywood. So I thought, well, if Dolly Parton can have a Dollywood, Dottie can have a Dottywood. So that's how it started.
Out in the small town of Hemet, California, there's a small town and local resident Ray Johnson's backyard called Dottywood, a town that he built himself over the course of 31 years and named after his wife, Dottie.
Dottie turned around and looked up at us and she smiled. That was it. I fell in love with her. Shirley Temple could go. Dottie goes first. Tea kettles, I'll go for wheelbarrow. Don't get them anymore. I must have bought them all. Yeah. Okay, these are the kind of wheelbarrows we have. See the steel wheels? And in dirt, they're hard to push. Well, you can push that wheelbarrow there right now. That would be hard for me to push up to get the weeds up there on Stein. This one's a piece of cake because of the pneumatic tire. The pneumatic tires made everything easier.
In 1887, John Dunlop invented and patented the first functional pneumatic tire for his son's tricycle. And in 1920, Ray's father, Elmer Johnson, bought his first pneumatic tire wheelbarrow.
It was a big deal, you know. He must have paid an arm and a leg for it because he got it at a hardware store. Oh, probably $20, $30. Well, Ford sold a car at under $500 in 1920. Right? Now, 500 cars wouldn't even buy you a car in a wrecking yard.
Ray's father was a Swedish immigrant who left on this boat and made his way to Chino, California in 1906. He was also a carpenter, and he and his sons built a chicken and fruit farm from the bottom up.
Because my grandfather was a carpenter and did so much on their farm, building the houses and the back house where the boys slept. And I think when he's building things like this, he thinks of his dad. And it just makes him feel good. He's channeling his father, my grandfather, when he's doing this. And I could just see my grandfather just loving this place.
Ray and his brothers grew up during the Great Depression.
My folks never said we were poor. They would not allow us to say we were poor.
With nothing but the bare necessities, they learned a deep appreciation for things they could make with their hands.
We made footballs. We'd fill an old football that just got out of high school or something and fill it with rags and play.
50 years later, Dottywood started with nothing but the raw materials and Ray's two hands.
We got an old chicken ranch here in Chino, in Hemet. And it was the gal, she was going to tear it down. She just wanted to get rid of this building. So me and another guy at the gas company, we tore it down. He took half the roofing and half the lumber, and I took the other half. And I got some wood doors. Some contractor had a bunch of old garage doors up in San Jacinto. Wanted to get rid of them.
When he got his first set of battery-operated tools, you know, a drill, a sawzall, a handsaw. He was amazed because he had never had anything that never had a cord, and he would take it back to where his father never had a power tool, period. It seems like we go back to our roots, you know, so he's going back to his roots with his parents and how they did things. Huh.
About taking your glasses off so we can see your face.
Yeah.
If you have a building, then you can put your accumulated antiques and other stuff that you love together in it. You know, you because that's what they did. They used to have like a 5-horse trailer, and he enclosed the whole thing, and they would take off in their old truck and hit different parts of the country just buying antiques so that they could bring them back here, fix them up and sell them, or put them in their buildings, you know, whether it be a gas station. I mean, look at all the gas station memorabilia he has.
By the early 20th century, petroleum was the most valuable commodity traded on world markets, and America was its largest producer for much of that time.
Chino had a Richfield station and a Gilmore station, and the Richfield station was on the south side of town, and the Gilmore station was on the north side. It says 4. That's 4 gallons is there. And then 5 gallons, 6 gallons, 7 gallons, 8 gallons, 9 gallons, 10 gallons. You can get 10 gallons out of it. This glass here is really heavy. It's at least an inch thick, and it's pure glass. This thing goes, you pump that thing up, and it takes forever to get 10 gallons of gas.
After World War II, oil was big business in America, and the keystone to the widespread high standard of living. The government regulated equity in relation to quantity to ensure the success of America's biggest industry, and they did it with tools like this.
Take this, oops, and put in here and run 5 gallons of gas out of there and see if this filled up. That'd tell you that you were getting 5 gallons of gas. But that's the way they pumped it. The guy comes in for 10 gallons of gas, you pump that up to 10, run it down, and it took forever to get a car out of there.
Ray worked out in the drilling fields in Pomona after the war. Dottie worked in the gas company offices.
On this rainy day, Uncle Ray was behind this big desk with some files, and he was parked right in front of the ladies' restroom. I remember, it seems so silly now, but I remember being very embarrassed to go into the bathroom in front of this big hunk of a guy with this head of tow-headed colored hair. But I finally managed, and I remember peeking over at him. Oh, he was very industrious. Yeah.
Tied alongside the burgeoning oil industry was the automobile industry, and one name stood out above the rest. Model A, V8, Ford Mercury. Ford Motors produced beautiful, affordable cars for the common middle-class American.
Here's, my dad had a pickup just like this, only it didn't have black fenders.
Ray has no favoritism. He's just made up his mind about Ford cars.
Is this 40 Ford? God, it was the best pickup ever built. We went all, Robert and I and Fred and Chino, we took it all over the western United States. Okay, this is what they call a church key. It was called a church key because everybody was verboten for drinking beer. You know, and so, and they would flip the can open just like that. So many people were against any kind of alcohol in Prohibition. If you went to the beer hall, boy, you were going to hell. There was no way, and if you drink beer, you're going to hell. And so that's why they call this the church key, because the church people were so against it.
It wasn't actually illegal to drink alcohol during Prohibition. The 18th Amendment only prevented the manufacture, sale, and transportation of intoxicating liquors. So I guess the church just wanted to go the extra mile.
Billy Beer was Jimmy Carter's brother. And he was, I guess he loved beer. And so he made a big kick out of that, and so they made Billy beer while Jimmy Carter was in the president. And then the JR beer, you know, where that comes from mash or something like that. And this one here is full. You can
Drink it.
you can drink it. Okay, during the smog years in 56, 57, 58, they put a smog valve on the cars, and it really made them some of them run rough. And so the people would take the smog thing off. So what the government did was do this and set these things up on the road and stop you, pull you over and check you for the smog device, the lamp, and the brakes. Right on the road, they stop you. That's a really unique sign. And I don't think too many people have one. Where'd I get it?
Yeah.
Yard sale somewhere. You see I got a lot of signs, and I figured, well, I would sell it for this. That's where I look. That's where I negotiated from, and down from there. But I'm not going to pay more than I think I could get rid of it for.
Inside the barn are all the tools and equipment Ray used to build the rest of the town.
The windows here, all the windows here, all the same size. They're Dottie. I can't remember it, but Dottie says they're from Arvidson's Dairy in Chino. See, Dottie was a good friend of Phyllis, and Bob and I. We went to school all our lives together. So they gave us those windows.
Sometimes Ray will say he can't remember something from his past, and it's a combination of his being old, but mostly having had a stroke 7 years ago.
He incorporated some of the windows from the old dairy, cash and carry dairy in Chino, in the gas station. Then, on our trips that we took back to Minnesota, out in the fields of one of the farms, laying on its side was an old gas pump. Holy moly. We could take that gas pump and put it in our gas station.
The wood for the church came from a Bonadette winery. They were tearing down a barn, and so I asked if we wanted the wood. Well, wanted the wood, oh Ray, you give me something I can use, I'll take it, you know.
During the Depression, people that were lucky enough to have jobs worked long hours for little pay. But they needed some fun in their life too, some type of recreation. So you had to make your own fun. Friends of ours had a winery, and the idea came up of having dances there on the weekend. People would come from all around. Word spread, the crowd grew. They had a violin player, an accordion player, and a harmonica. And people would take turns singing and yahooing and just creating a wonderful atmosphere. And it was a wonderful break in sometimes a pretty hard life.
In 1982, developers in Chino were going to tear down that same winery, and Ray took the wood to build this church.
It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing.
Time and again, Ray and Dottie have lived by the example of gathering together and making the best with what you have. Every year on Labor Day and Easter, they invited all their friends and family to come to Dottywood and play baseball, eat potluck, ride bikes, go on hay rides, and have simple, homespun fun.
What my mother taught me was in time not to be afraid to talk to people, that we're all people, number one, and that not to put labels or someone's job or who they are or how maybe they look influence you. That to reach out and talk to people on a real heart-to-heart level. Open up your heart to people and connect with them.
This is an old sled in snow country. Here's the tongue that went forward. You hitched the horses up.
This is the triple tree right here. 1, 2, 3. 3 horses.
You got your family all bundled up in their snow clothes. They climbed in here and they either went to town and shopped and piled everything in, or if there was time, they went for sled rides in the snow. Can you imagine riding in this down a hill?
Ray's family had a street named after them in Chino. That's the sign. He has a Lucky Strike sign, among others, old lamps, and a whole lot of other dusty collector's items.
The ready-mix truck, and we pulled it up here to pour foundation for these things. It was quite a job, but I was younger then, Carl. Hadn't had my stroke yet.
Ray has lots of wheelbarrows under those tarps because of all the cement he poured for the buildings. And before he used a ready-mix truck, he used this.
This is what your grandfather did. He run this thing, and Robert and I, we'd fill that 30, 30, and 1. 30 sand, 30 gravel, and 1 cement.
30 shovels of sand, 30 shovels of gravel, and 1 sack of cement. And boy, was that hard work. It's amazing he walks as well as he does at 90.
Wait, you know that, Carl, when you get married, you give in to the women, They're the bosses.
Never forget it.
Yeah.
Some cities and counties regularly replace their signs, especially out in less inhabited areas where people would use them for target practice. Anyway, the signs that were taken down were offered to the public on sale. They had little selling sites, and this is where Ray picked that one up.
Inside City Hall is Ray's dad's toolbox and tools, an old receipt stamper, and some other odds and ends.
This is a very important item, especially during the winter. If you live in snow country, you don't want to go out in the middle of the night in the snow to use the outhouse. So parked by the side of your bed would be this very convenient item. You could do your business, put the lid back on, climb back in bed, and sleep some more.
A Modeste dispenser for feminine hygiene products, and several gas station calendars.
A guy stopped out here one time. He said, "Boy, do you ever get tired of having to go so far to town?" I said, "Boy, every time I go." It'd be kind of fun to just to walk out the door and be at the donut shop. I say that, but this has been so damn much fun that I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
What we have here is a good old-fashioned delight. Homemade root beer. And believe me, that was good drinking. You take your mixture and you mix it all up. You line your bottles up and you fill them up. Then you put them down here in our marvelous bottle capper. Very important because your root beer is working and developing and getting all bubbly and wonderful. So down we go. And there you have it. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just so smart. But certain bottles, after the chemicals had worked for a while and the bubbly was at the maximum max, boom. Middle of the night, early morning, midday, you never knew. And believe me, it made a noise, but it was worth it. In the morning after the cow was milked, you'd let the milk set and the cream would rise to the top. You'd put the cream in the churn and then turn the handle, and slowly the butter would form into solid. And then you would take and scoop the butter out and put it in a mold or put it in a bowl, and there you were with nice fresh butter for breakfast.
The flood came down and the water came down the driveway and went into the cellar, and it filled the cellar. And so my dad got this from John Strona, one of these things, and Robert and Carl and we pumped all day with that thing, keeping the water out of the cellar. There's a 2-inch pipe down here, and so this was set down in the trailer in the cellar. The pipe went down in there, and we were up on top pumping to keep that water out of the cellar so it wouldn't ruin the canned jelly and fruit and stuff.
So when you and your brother Robert and your brother Carl were doing the pumping, who was the best pumper?
Oh, I was always the best.
You know, where we live is just become a bigger city. You know, but out here, you know, when the folks first moved here, my boys were pretty young, and we would bring our motorcycles, and there was no fences. Nobody had any fences, and we would just ride. You could ride endlessly.
When Ray and Dottie moved to Hemet, their kids were grown and on their own, but they would always come to visit.
Well, Craig and I, we were a lot of the grunt work, if you will. We poured a lot of concrete here. We nailed a lot of boards.
See that Liberty Grain Company? Craig just did that. Didn't you do a good job on that?
It means a lot to me to be able to try and give back what I feel is just a small amount of what they have given us our whole lives. He's my best friend. You know, and hopefully he feels the same way about me.
Ray has spent the last 31 years of his life building and adding to Dottywood. It's the monument of his love for his wife and kids and grandkids and the life he's lived. In 2009, a devastating stroke threatened to take that all away.
When they patched me up, they cut my aorta, what the heck, a vein in my heart, which is the main part of your heart, and they cut it with a scalpel, and they didn't fix it. They sewed me up, and that's when I had my stroke, because my heart couldn't pump blood up to my brain. Yeah.
The first thing Ray will do when a guest comes to his house is take them to see his latest and greatest acquisition for Dottywood. In this way, he sees and remembers all the bits and pieces of what makes Ray himself. Sadly, the story of this town will come to a close sooner or later. But before it does, it begs the question, what will you build with your life? And what materials will you use?
It is for storage, but it's gone way past that. And then we've had the fun of kind of decorating around the outside and putting old collectibles around a little more atmosphere. And when Ray first retired and we were young and still young enough and energetic, we had lots of gatherings out here. And everybody just seemed to enjoy the old buildings and would walk around and look at them. You kids would play around them and hunt Easter eggs. And so it ended up being shared with a lot of people.
Hopefully it's taught you an appreciation for life, period. You know, don't miss a minute.
Ray and Dottie open Dottywood once a year to the public to come and enjoy the town. This year, the festivities will take place on May 19th. Don't miss a minute.